What happens when one of the sickest shredders of the late 80s goes country? Awesome guitar solos, like this one from Summer's Comin by Clint Black. Well, hey there kids, it's your country cousin, Uncle Ben. I think it's safe to say that Dann Huff is one of the most underrated players of all time. And even if you don't know him by name, I guarantee that you've heard something that he's had his hands on, whether that be his original band Giant, his work with tons of different Christian rock and country music artists. Hell, he even played the guitar solo in the radio edit of Here I Go Again by Whitesnake. He's one of those rare musicians that can wear a lot of different hats and do it all extremely well, whether that be hair metal shredding, chicken picking, producing. I hear he makes a killer Florentine omelet too. But one of my favorite things that he's contributed to the world of guitar is his awesome solo in Summer's Comin by Clint Black. As always, downloadable tabs, backing tracks, bonus lessons, and so much more are available to everybody who supports my channel over on my Patreon page, patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Gear-wise today, I'm playing my lovely Suhr Custom Modern T. Look at that thing. And I'm giving that Teletone a little squeeze by using the new Suhr Woodshed Andy Wood Signature Compressor pedal. And I've got that running into the front of the Fractal Audio Axe FX3. But before we start talking about what makes this twangy solo tick, let's hear it again at stepdad speed. Okay, so this solo is in the key of A, and it follows a pretty traditional 1-4-5 progression in that key, which outlines A, D, A, E, and then back to A. So there's kind of our lead-in lick right there. Start off here on the low E. Notice those little like quarter step bends I'm applying to those notes, just to make them a little bit more rednecker. So what we got right there is a couple of bends from the flat 7 of the chord G, bending up to the A note right here. After that we have this series of little triplet bass licks, walking down the D string right here. Okay. Then you're going to play this lick on the A and E strings. And then finish off with, then go back to that flat 7 to 1 bend that you played earlier before you play this lick. That lick's on the G and D string, starts off with some pull-offs going down the G like this. And then we finish that off with a pedal steel style lick that has a bend on our 3rd string and caps off with the root note A here on the high E string. You'll notice there that both of the times I hit the root note, right there on the G, right there on the high E string, I plucked that using my middle finger on my pickin hand. Now you don't have to have any like long fingernail or anything like that if you don't want to. Just be sure to really get under the string and snap it away from the fretboard. That way that note really jumps out at you. You can do it with a pick. Just be sure to really dig into those notes. But I figure if you're learning this country ass solo, you might as well go all out and learn how to do a little bit of hybrid picking in there too. Next, the chord changes to D, and we're going to play these double stops on the 2nd and 3rd strings. Notice that those bends don't really have to be super in tune, and also too that I'm popping those using my middle and ring fingers on my picking hand. just for some extra twang. And then we get to the hardest lick in the whole solo. This is really nasty, especially at the tempo that this goes by at. I'm pretty sure he's sneaking some pull-offs in here. You could try alternate picking your way through the whole thing if you're a braver person than I, but I believe he is sneaking a few pull-offs in here. Let's check it out. So it kind of sort of feels like the B blues scale with some chromaticism and then jumping down to more like an A minor pentatonic feel at the end. Let's kind of look at it lick by lick here. So that's what I'm going to call the first section of the lick. Starts off here with a bend on the second string, then on the high E play this. Notice that there was 1, 2, 3 notes on that string, but I only picked 2 of them. The last one was a pull off. Same thing's going to happen here on the B string for the next lick. It's just a 4-note chromatic walk down, and I'm going to pick 3 of those 4 notes. So that last note right there was a pull off. Same thing happens here. Single note on the G, 2 notes on the B, right? Only going to pick 1 of them, make the last note on the string a pull off instead. After this, pretty familiar boxy pentatonic shape. And the second half of that lick sounds like this. So we start with a bend on the G, 3 notes on the B string that I only pick 2 of. Again, make the last note a pull off. Same thing happens on the G right here. Again, 3 notes, only pick 2 of them though. Then on the D string, after this what we're going to do is essentially the same lick in 2 different positions. And then end on the root note A. So altogether, that section will sound like this. By sneaking those pull-offs in there, it gives your picking hand a lot more time to make it to the next string rather than having to like dart in and out of the strings like crazy. It's kind of like a classic 80s shredder trick, you know? Tons of players from like Randy Rhoads to Eddie Van Halen, lots of players from that era did this. And it just makes licks like this a lot easier. So try sneaking those in whenever you're encountering like a really tough lick. Just don't pick the last note on the string. It might make the whole thing a lot easier for you. So coming out of that kind of Zakk Wylde style lick, I'm going to go to the A. Kind of a classic lick right there. You can see I'm kind of sliding into the 3rd of the chord here, the C sharp. On the D string, I'm walking up 2 notes and ending once again on the root. Country players are so good about targeting notes from the chords. This is definitely something you could take from this solo and apply to your own playing, targeting those notes like that. That's another one of those awesome pedal steel style licks. Start off here by bending the G on fret number 4 up a whole step. Meanwhile, use your little finger and pluck that high E string on fret number 5, the root note of the chord that we're playing over, which is A. Pick the bent note again to let it down, go back down to the root, and then slide into that flat 7 note right there, the G on the D string. I love this lick, and the key to making it sound right is paying close attention to what in here is palm muted. Because in order to get that really, you know, clucking kind of chicken picking sound, you got to have good control of that right hand palm here to get on and off of those strings. So pay close attention to what notes in this are muted and which ones aren't. I'll be sure to notate that on the tab too. That palm muting pattern that I'm talking about is essentially 2 palm muted notes and then 1 note that isn't palm muted. So it's accented and kind of jumps out at you a little bit more. You really hear it there. 1, 2, accent, 1, 2, accent, 1, 2, accent. So that started on the A string, goes to the D, then we're going to go to the G. So that one didn't have a slide. The other 2 did, but that last one there on the 3rd string doesn't. After that, play the root note on the B string. To play the end of that lick right there, start off on the 2nd string on the 12th fret, and then using your little finger, grab the 12 on the high E. Notice I held that up as I hit the high note, picked the bent note again, and let it down before I played the root on that string again. And then, all I'm doing here is sliding up into a double stop on the top 2 strings on the 17th fret. Hit the B string first, then the high E. This next series of double stops is one of my favorite parts of the whole solo. Check it out. At this point in the solo, the chord has changed to E, so we need to be thinking about E as our root as we play all these licks. Start off here on the high E string, open. Again, I'm plucking that with my middle finger. And then play these double stops on the G. So those are all using this little minor third sort of dyad shape here. And then go to just your single finger bar and walk down chromatically like that from 9 to 8 to 7. Notice the one muted D string right there. Just kind of adds a little extra cluck on there. And then we're back to A, and we finish the solo off with this cool lick out of the A blues scale. So in addition to making your playing sound more twangier, one of the big advantages of using hybrid picking for licks like this is that it makes the string skipping a lot easier. Notice how I use the middle finger of my picking hand there to play the root note on the high E string, before my pick jumps over here to the G for this series of pull-offs, and the root note on the D string. After you play that lick, you got to restart it again immediately, but instead of making your pick hurdle over all those strings to get under the high E again, you can just use that middle finger. 3 times in a row just like that, before we play this little descending section. Again, really cool groove right there, and also some subtle bends. Let's check it out again. And that is the entire Awesomely Chicken Fried solo. Let's go through it here lick by lick one more time. Thank you guys, as always, so much for watching. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and ring the bell for notifications every time I upload a new slice of fried gold. If you like what you see and want to say thanks, be sure to support my channel over on my Patreon page at patreon.com/BenEllerGuitars. Even for just $1 a month, you get access to downloadable tabs, tons of bonus lessons, all the works. And be sure to let me know in the comments section below what your favorite chicken pickin' solo is. That way we can break that down on a future installment of Weekend Wankshop. Thanks again, guys. Less clicking, more picking.